Welcome back to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. I am CarrieVee, your biggest fan, the person who will believe in you until you can't believe in yourself, and then I'll keep believing in you. This podcast is all things leadership, communication, confidence, clarity, and it is all things life. And we have an amazing guest with us today, Ms. Robyn Bolton, who is the founder of Mile Zero, which she, I'm sure, will tell you all about. So for today, here we go. We're going to jump right in so Robyn can have all the time. Robyn, welcome to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. And we want to know what is lighting you on fire. I wish that everyone could see your hair.
Oh,
I know people on YouTube, you can, but if you know what, if you're listening to this on a podcast channel, run over to YouTube because you have to see how beautiful this woman is. All right, Robyn, take it away.
oh, you're so kind. Yeah, my streak. Oh, other side streak of blue in my hair, being a little innovative-y because that's
I
what I
love it.
do. I will say what is lighting me up recently is that I'm learning new skills,
Mhm.
and they're not big, they're not fancy. I mean, today I was like, I should figure out how to edit a video,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting here experimenting with it, but like just the experience of learning and going between, the video editing software and Gen AI be like, what do I do next? I don't
Yeah.
understand. That didn't work. Let's try this again. It's just, I find it very energizing.
Yes, I actually love video editing, something I thought I would never get into. I do every day now, and I'm with you.
Oh,
It's fun. It's fun.
yeah. Yeah, it gets fun. It also can trigger my perfectionist tendencies.
Oh, yeah.
So I view it as it's a growth experience.
Yes, I think all of life is a growth
Oh
experience.
yeah. Yep.
So tell us about Robyn and what is Mile Zero and what are you doing with your life other than video editing and having beautiful hair?
So about Robin, it's a good question. It's a big question. I would say kind of everything boils down to one word, and that's innovation.
Mhm.
Um, and it's weird to try to boil who I am and what I do down to one word, but that really is it because, I've spent my whole career in innovation. We'll do the career stuff first.
Yeah.
You know, from my first job, I was working at P&G in brand management, but I was working on a new business development team.
Mhm.
And pure luck. Luck is such a big part of the story, everyone's story, whether they admit it or not. But pure luck,
Yes.
um, a
Agree.
year to the day after I graduated undergrad, I was launching Swiffer.
Wow.
And that is pure luck. There's no way I could have made that happen. So like that was my first experience in the real world,
Yeah.
is working on a big innovation like that. Many twists and turns along the way, kind of, some time in Arkansas at Walmart, came out to Boston, got my MBA, worked at a big consulting firm, worked at a consulting firm that was founded by Clay Christensen, who's kind of the father of disruptive innovation, and
Mhm.
now I have my own firm, Mile Zero. Um, but the thread is innovation, and really that word is kind of meaningless nowadays.
Mhm.
It really is helping people turn uncertainty and all the things that come with it into a competitive advantage and
Mhm.
into a way to grow.
Mhm.
And so professionally, kind of that's where I'm at. The personal side is I think I've always been an innovator, mostly because I've always had a slight issue with authority. A minor one, a minor one.
I love
Where I would
that.
just question things like, why are we doing it that way? Why does it have to be that way? Like, just because that's the rule doesn't mean it needs to stay the rule.
Yes.
And so I've kind of always been one of those people who kind of pushes boundaries and asks questions and just kind of wants like believes we can do better.
Yes.
Whatever it is, we can do better.
Yeah.
So let's figure it out.
I love that. Everything you just said, especially with asking those questions. Why are we doing this
Oh,
this way? Did that
yeah.
ever did that ever get you in trouble in companies?
Oh, it get me in trouble. It nearly got me fired multiple times. Because the thing is I don't ask the question. I decide whether the answer is acceptable and
Mhm.
then go do what I think we should do. And
Mhm.
that's what gets me in trouble. And but I've done that. I've also gotten older and wiser, more mature to know which battles to pick.
Yes.
Um, but it's funny when you ask that question, like, well, why are we doing it that way? So often the answer is like, well, that's how we've always done it. I'm like, well, okay, like fair,
Yeah.
but that's how we've always done it. Like we don't, we don't still use quills to write and horses to get around. Like we are where we are today because we decided to stop doing things the way we've always done it
Yes.
and try something different.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't mean that the way we did it was wrong. It just means we may be able to do it a different, better way now.
Yes. Yes. All of that, you sent chills down my spine, like, "You don't still write with a quill?" I'm so thankful we don't write with a quill. I would be a mess
Oh,
all the time,
oh, ink everywhere. It'd be,
everywhere,
yes. Yep.
everywhere. So, how did mile 0 then come into play? I love the word innovate, I always have. I just think it's
Mhm.
so exciting. What
Yep.
do we get to what do we get to innovate? What does innovate mean to you? And then how does
Oh,
that play into what you do now?
it is a great question. So innovate or innovation to me means something new that creates value.
Mhm,
Like it's actually that simple. It's a really short definition, but it packs a lot in there. And the main thing about it, the most important part of that definition is creating value.
mhm.
And because I really see innovation and the work I do and the work you do and so many folks do is being of service,
Yeah.
like creating value in someone's life. So there are so many things we can do. You just think of technologies that come out and widgets and inventions, and they're cool, but do they create value?
Yeah.
Do they make someone's life better? Do they make doing something easier?
Mhm.
So that to me is what innovation is. It creates value. It's an act of service. And so, Mile Zero as a firm, that's what we focus on. But the name itself really speaks to, well, it's two things. I'm going to tell you the real story of the name and then the nice corporate story of the name.
Okay.
So the nice corporate story of the name, which is also true, is that the beginning, Mile Zero, is where I work with clients. We start at the beginning and we create something that
Love that.
has value. The kind of real origin story is that Key West is one of my favorite places in the world.
Mhm.
And the first time I even imagined having my own business, I was laying poolside in Key West, which is also mile zero of Highway 1 that runs all the way from Key West up to Maine.
Okay.
So, kind of in honor of one of my favorite places and also where I work with clients is at the beginning.
I love it. I love both explanations, but you said Key West, Florida, so that's the one that I zeroed in on because I also
Yep.
love Key West.
Oh,
Oh,
it's such a great place. And the thing about it is like I live in Boston. Boston has a reputation for being a little bit uptight. Um, Key West, a little bit. Key
yeah.
West is the exact opposite. Come as you are. We accept everyone. Just be yourself. And the vibe is incredible.
Yes, it is. It is, and I love the vibe in Boston too, but they are
Yeah,
very different. They
they
are.
are different.
They are.
And especially after Boston winter, you
Yeah.
need a little Key West sunshine.
Or during the Boston winter.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. You don't have a Bostonian accent.
No, I am originally from Cleveland. I grew
Oh,
up born and raised in northeastern Ohio, but
okay.
I will say after having lived in Boston for quite a few years now, I'm starting to drop my R's on a
Oh,
couple of
so you
words.
park the car, huh?
Yeah, and like I have to really concentrate to say chowder. Like,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
yeah,
Not chowder. Yeah.
chowder. Yep.
I love it. Well, I love the Boston accent, so it was
Yeah.
not a cut there at all. I love listening to them. I live in upstate New York, so we're not really that far apart.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, not far apart, and you've got your own accent up there, and
Yeah, we do.
just what is makes people and places interesting.
Yeah,
The
it
differences.
it is, it is. So, some of your clients, what do they come with you? Do they come to you with an idea and then you look at it and you say, "We can make this better. This is how we can make this truly innovative." How does
Mhm.
the whole process work?
Yeah, it's a great question. So they tend to come to me with two things. One is exactly as you said, like, hey, we have an idea. Like, how do we make it happen? And the first thing I always say is like, well, definition of innovation, it's got to create value. Let's make sure it's going to create value for someone.
Yes.
And, we often start with who they think it will create value for. More times than not, we find out that was wrong.
Okay.
And so then it's like, okay, well, let's figure out either who it will create value for or how we need to change it to create value for the people we originally wanted to create value for.
Okay.
So that's one way we start working together. The other way is a lot of companies will come and be like, "Hey, we have this growth gap," and what that means is like, "Hey, we have this goal for hitting this kind of revenue in 5 years or whatever it is, and we have no line of sight to how we do that.
Hmm.
Help us, help us figure out how to close the growth gap."
Wow.
And you know, kind of start with the same thing of like, let's start with understanding who you serve
Hmm.
and the problems they have and what will create value for them. And then let's figure out kind of the easiest way for you to deliver that value. And a lot of times it's repurposing things they already have,
Mm.
repositioning things. Like we don't have to, start from scratch and create something that breaks the world.
Yeah.
It oftentimes it's slight tweaks and improvements and different positioning that can actually close that growth gap and get pretty quick results, which is fun.
That is fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm envisioning a company coming to you with this problem or this
Yeah.
challenge. Let's call it a challenge with this
Yeah.
challenge. And you bringing all these solutions in and how exciting that must be.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I mean, the most rewarding part, certainly it's rewarding to help them, hit their business goals. But what's most rewarding for me is the way I work. And, I spent years working at a big consulting firm and kind of in the traditional consulting way where, the consultant swoops in, is the hired brain and gives you an answer.
Yes.
And the way I work is embedding with my clients, is working alongside them.
Mm.
And so the most rewarding part for me is seeing them learn and change and how their thinking change. I mean, the highest compliment I have ever gotten from a client was they said, working with you is like going to Oz, which at first I'm like, you really need to clarify that because that could go in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
Um, and and what they meant was and they said like, no, 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 the world was black and white before, and now it's in full color.
Mm.
And so seeing people realize all the potential that's out there and all that they can do is the best part of the job.
That is so exciting. So
Yeah.
exciting. You must live every day just, I can't wait to get up and start what you
Um, some days, yeah, are definitely like that.
do.
Some
Yeah.
days are kind of like, "Oh, what new disaster awaits?"
Oh.
Um, but it's living in uncertainty, right? It's kinda like, I don't know what the day holds.
Mhm.
What I do know is that we'll figure it out,
Yeah.
and we have the tools, we have the resources, we have the people, we'll figure it out. And yeah, it's going to be bumpy. And as much as I would love everything to be, perfect and organized and straight line, we're going to get through this. And, so I often say, I'm like, well, it'll be an adventure. Whatever happens, it'll be an adventure and we'll come out with great stories.
I love that. I love that. That adventure word.
Yeah.
I have I have a friend who refuses to book a flight that has a layover. I do it on
Mm.
purpose because I want
Oh,
the
wow.
adventure, and I will
Yeah.
book a layover that has, like, 30 minutes or less from
Oh
late.
my gosh, you are so brave.
It's like, that's an adventure. And so now her daughter, who is now 11, will say, if they're on the road and they get in a car in a like a traffic jam or something, she'll say, "It's okay, mom. It's an adventure." Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's an
Yeah.
adventure. You don't know what life is bringing you, but if you look at it, like you said, with
Yeah.
a positive spin, It is easier to get through.
It is so much easier to get through. If you, like I said, some days I wake up with like what disaster awaits. Um, but as soon as you reframe it from it's not
Yes.
a disaster,
Mm.
it's an adventure. One of the things I say in my book is they call it growing pains, not growing tickles for a reason.
Love
And, if you lean into it and can find the silver lining, it's amazing.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Growing pains, not growing tickles.
Not
This
growing
is
tickles.
this is perfect. What is this might be a hard one to answer because I'm
Mhm.
gonna ask you to really like bring it in. What's the best piece of advice you give in your book? And can you tell our listeners
Mm.
the name of your book and what's
Mm.
the premise?
All right, so I'm gonna give myself time to figure out an answer to that fantastic question. So my book, Unlocking Innovation, I'm gonna describe my book, which
Okay.
is it. I really wrote it as a practical guide
Mhm.
for leaders who've been tasked with growing the business and
Okay.
using innovation to do that,
Mhm.
and emphasis on the practical because you know for a long time I resisted writing a book because goodness knows the world does not need another innovation framework. Um, so the book is broken up into 3 years because that's about how long most innovation efforts last.
Okay.
And each year we talk about the ABCs of innovation because what you need is a holistic approach. You need architecture, so the process, the structures, the strategy, all of that. But you also need really key leadership behaviors,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that are all not always obvious.
Yes.
And you need the culture.
Mm.
So I think this has actually helped me answer your question. I think the most, I don't know, most important or first bit of advice that I give folks who are tasked with doing something new is to channel their inner George Costanza from one episode of Seinfeld, one only, and
Okay.
do the opposite of your instincts.
Mm.
Because for so many people, what has made them successful in their careers is the operations side. They have a ton of experience, they can predict cause and effect, they kind of know what's going to happen next, they have all the answers. And innovation is the exact opposite of that world.
Okay.
And so to succeed in doing something new, if you follow your instincts, that's for a completely different world and you'll
Mm.
fail. So in an opposite world, do the opposite of your instincts.
Oh, that sent chills down my spine.
So yeah, George Costanza, nobody ever thought he'd be a role model, but
Yeah,
at
there.
least in one episode he was.
Okay, so the opposite of your instincts. Can you give us for instance, maybe from your own life or a client's life where
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times, if when you're meeting with the team, right? And you're kind of in charge of the team or you're the expert in the team, people ask you a question.
Mhm.
And naturally, because you're in charge of the team or you're the expert, you answer the question.
Yes.
And like that's such an ingrained instinct.
Mhm.
But when you're doing something you've never done before, you actually don't have the answer. You have a hypothesis, you have an assumption,
Mhm.
you have an opinion, but you don't have an answer.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so, kind of one of the first things to do, and this is extraordinarily hard, but when somebody asks you a question, respond with a question, ask, tell me more, like, kind of get more out of them, or say, look, I don't know. My instinct is, and just be really honest about where you're coming from.
Okay. I love
But
this.
yeah, it's so hard. It is so hard.
Yeah. It is. It is, but I love asking the question in response to a question. I feel
Mhm.
strongly that really helps people to think it deeper.
Yes. Yeah. Because, the person asking you the question, they're coming from so much knowledge. They have so much information that they're not conveying
Mhm.
that has led them to say, this is the thing I don't know and need help with.
Yeah.
But you don't have any of that context.
Yes.
So have the conversation to get the context and truly become a thought partner.
Yes. Do you are are you of the mindset that when you are innovating something, being in
Mhm.
a boardroom with open communication will take that concept so much further than trying
Yes.
to sit in an office by yourself brainstorming, which I'm not against at all.
Right.
When you bring all those brainstorms together,
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it is whatever you can come up with on your own will always be better if you invite people in.
always.
And look, I am a natural introvert. I hate brainstorming sessions because I get so overwhelmed. But there are ways you can not get overwhelmed. There are ways you can structure this so that even as an introvert, where you do like to do your work, your creative work alone, because that's just how you think better, you can still plan and find ways to engage others, and it will 100% of the time
Mhm.
improve whatever you come up with.
Yes. Okay, so you touched on this with the introvert, so I'm gonna take this a little bit further before
Yeah.
I believe it's already 21 minutes. Um, what are some of the ways that you then what are your skills? What are your coping skills for taking that overwhelm? Because I'm the same way. I love brainstorming
Yeah.
sessions, but about 20 minutes in, I'm just like, "Can we take a break,
Yeah.
please?"
Yes.
What do
Yes.
we do?
So
What do we do,
that
Rob?
is the first thing. Take breaks.
Okay.
People do need to take breaks. The other thing I do is I actually start with what I call silent brainstorming. You kind of give the prompt, here's what we need to brainstorm on, and then no talking. Like
Mm,
everyone gets a post-it, pad of post-its, write all your ideas, write your questions, write every thought in your head onto a post-it.
yeah.
And then we go around the room in a very structured style, and each person reads their post-it and puts it on the wall. And that makes sure that every voice is heard. Every idea comes out.
Yes.
And then all the extroverts get excited because now there's lots of post-it notes and they can start doing things. And the
Yeah.
introverts can kind of take everything in and do what they do.
What a fabulous idea.
So yeah, make room for the introverts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's hard for extroverts to do.
It's very hard.
It is. It's a great
It's
leadership skill to learn.
yeah. Yeah. And honestly, the more we talk about it, of like, hey, I'm an introvert, this is what I need. Extroverts are actually really nice people. They just don't know.
Yeah,
So you just
exactly.
have to tell them, like, I need a break now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go to a quiet place for 5 minutes and I'll come back. I'm like,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. You're
Yep.
you're right. They are nice people. They are like puppies.
They are like puppies.
They
Yes.
are.
And yep, sometimes the puppies get a little slobbery and clingy and you need to be like, ooh,
Yes.
okay. But they're
Exactly.
pretty. Yep.
That's what's right in my face right now. That's why I thought puppies. We ended up getting 2 puppies last year about this time. 2. What were we
Oh, wow.
what were we thinking? So sometimes you just have
Good
to
for
say,
you.
"Mama needs a break.
Yep.
There's your crate.
Yep.
I
Here's
need
a toy.
need
Go.
to decompress right now."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I love that. I love this really brought it clear to me. Really, that was amazing advice. Amazing advice.
Thank you.
How many ti You're welcome. Thank you. I think, a lot of times we just don't speak up for what we need. And if we don't speak up, then if we'll use the introvert extrovert example. If the introverts don't speak up, the extroverts don't realize that
Yeah.
you are getting so overwhelmed that your brain has shut down. You're done.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't know what they don't
They
know.
don't know. Yeah, they ascribe their assumptions because they just assume that you're like them, and so if you're not participating, you're mad, you're
Yeah,
disengaged, and it's like, "No, I'm just really tired."
I just need to go
Yeah,
outside and get some air or
yeah, I just need quiet for just
yes, yes.
yeah,
There are so many times I use exactly that phrase. I just need a little quiet, and I'll be
yeah,
fine. I'm not
yep,
mad. I'm not angry. I'm not anything. It
yep,
just done.
yep. No, there are times I come home from, like, an all-day brainstorming session,
Yeah.
and my husband, like a puppy, is like, "Oh, you're home," and I'm like, "All the words today have been used." There are no more words to say, no more words to hear. All the words are used up for today.
Yes.
He's like, "Okay, got it."
I get that. I totally get that. I often, when I'm traveling, there are very few people that I will share a hotel room with.
Hmm.
It's only those people who understand that if I've been speaking at an event or doing a business training, when I come back to that room, I
Yeah.
just need to be.
Yes.
I just need to be.
Yep. Yep.
And hey, I'm all for you going out and having dinner
Yeah.
with people, but please don't be insulted when I say no. I'm
Right.
gonna grab some Core Life right here in my hotel room. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yep. No, it's so important. Like that's how you're able to stay in service of people, and is being of service to yourself. Be
Yes.
like, I need quiet. Like I need pizza delivery and trashy TV. Like
Yeah.
I love you, but not right now, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes. I love that you brought that out. There are so many women listening to this podcast right now going, "Oh, they just gave me validation." Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
Yes. This has been so amazing. Wait, I don't know if you do repeat performances, but if you do, I really
Oh,
would love to have you come back.
I would love to be back. This has been so fun.
So much fun. You are fun. Even though your background is fun. I'm loving everything about
Yeah.
Robyn Bolton right here. So
Got my Legos, got my books, all the things that bring me joy.
all the things. It's great. So, Robyn, what is your superpower?
Complexity busting.
Can you
I,
explain?
the world is complicated, the world is complex, things are difficult for a reason, and there's a way through. And so I love to kind of dig in and untangle the knot.
Love it. And I bet you're excellent at that. I think next episode we're going to talk about that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Oh, it's
Let's
like
get
real
that.
life mysteries and nobody dies. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we're going to do that.
Yay.
And how about a writing prompt for our listeners?
A writing prompt. I would say it's kind of a two-parter. I'm
Okay.
cheating. Um, what is one thing that scares you? And scares kind of like makes nervous, like I'm like, you don't want to do.
Okay.
And follow up to that is what is one small next step you can take to start doing it?
I love that. I love it. You're allowed to have a two-parter. It's not cheating.
Okay, thanks.
So
It's
is
1A and 1B.
okay, so 1A, what is something that really scares you? And B,
Mhm.
what is one small step you can do to lean into that fear, basically.
Yep, to lean into it.
I love it. I love it. How can we find you? Everybody's listening is going to
Yeah.
be, where do I find her? How do I connect? What do I do?
Got it. So you can find me. You can go to my business's website, which is milezero.io, and the zero is spelled out. And you can also go to LinkedIn. I'm
Okay.
on LinkedIn. And if you're curious to learn about the book, that's at unlockinginnovation.co.
All right. And I will link all of those under this podcast, whether you're listening or you're watching on YouTube. Those links will all be there. Go ahead and click them. Connect with Robyn. You'll be glad you did. You need to see her through video, but you gotta see her, and you're gonna love everything that you learn from this amazing woman. Robyn, I can't wait to have
Oh,
you back on the show. Thank you
I
for having
can't wait to be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.